Hi guys, your trainer, Hartmann here, owner and head trainer of Pro Fitness Training with this month's installment of the video series. Today we're going to be going over some of the striking basics, but first we're going to be going over how to properly wrap your hands. Now there's a multitude of ways that you can actually wrap your hands, and it's going to come down to personal preference in the end once you get used to the original style. I'm going to show you the quickest and easiest way that I prefer to get my hands ready before I start hitting things. Here we go. Alright, when it comes to wrapping your hands, you're going to constantly want to be doing this flexing and extending your fingers to make sure you're not cutting off your circulation. Now, as you can see here, these are nicely rolled up and tight. I never usually re-roll them. It becomes a waste of time, and it actually makes your wraps smell if you hold them like this after they get them all nice and sweaty. So, start out just by unrolling them, getting them all the way out there. I like to start by wrapping around my thumb. So I'll get this all the way up here, pull it nice and tight around my thumb. From here, I start by going around the wrist at least 3 times. I pull it nice and snug, but not too snug to cut off my circulation. Once I have that down, I start by coming up and over and going through each finger individually. Same thing, pulling them snug, but not too snug. Once I get them through the fingers nice and laced to cover those knuckles, I go back around the wrist, and then I come up through the palm. And now I'll go around the palm 2 to 3 times, depending upon the length of your wraps. I prefer wraps that are 180 inches or longer. 108s are pretty short. I have small hands, and they don't cover my hands all the way to properly protect my hands and wrist. Now, when you're wrapping your hands, it's not just about covering your knuckles. It's also about protecting that wrist and keeping that wrist nice and sturdy. So I come back around the wrist once or twice, and then I slowly start interweaving between my wrist and up and over my palm, getting that cross pattern. Back and forth a few times, get nice and solid. And I always like to finish doing the last few around that wrist, making sure the wrist is nice and sturdy. You don't want to be bending and damaging your wrist or doing any forms of boxing. Pull it nice and snug. Voila. From here, we're going to go to the basics of striking. Alright, so now for the basics. I took the wraps off so you can better see my hands a little bit and what I'm going to be doing with my hands. When you're first learning striking, it's always important to get the proper technique down first. Start out slow, the speed will come once you have the technique down. Now when you're punching, there's 2 knuckles on your hand that are known as the punching knuckles. It's the first 2 right here. And you can see those on both hands, which ones get used the most. That's the one that's going to be the strongest line up your arm for those punches. First few punches, no matter what style you're learning, are going to be a jab, cross, and a hook. Whether you're learning from a Taekwondo style, boxing style, Muay Thai, Kung Fu, whatever your style may be, the variations on where you're hitting with the fist might change a little bit, but the punches are still very similar. So a jab is always going to be with your lead side or your front foot. Whatever foot's forward, that's the hand you're going to have forward. That'll be your lead hand or your jabbing hand. Now when you're punching, you always want to make sure whatever hand you're not using is always protecting yourself. So when I throw the jab, I'm coming straight up, and my right hand is going to be protecting my chin up here. And same thing when I throw that cross, when I come through, I'm going to pivot and turn. My other hand is always protecting my face. Alright? So, starting out with the jab, when you're hitting that jab, you're turning over and snapping, making sure it's a nice straight line coming off that target. Typically a jab is going to aim for the nose or the top of the forehead. So when you're aiming and you're punching on a bag, you can either picture someone's face if you want to get some anger out, or go at your own height and just aim for your own height of your forehead. Now a cross is typically meant to hit in the mouth or the jaw. Same thing for the hook. The hook can either be used to hit the jaw or the body. So when you're hitting the jab, going up top, cross, turning over, coming through, and a hook is going to be called a hook simply because of the shape of your arm, the L shape. So it's going to be jab, cross, hook. Turning over. Now when you're first learning the punches, everyone likes to think it's all arms, and you'll see whether it's guys or girls, especially tough guys, when you're really strong up top, you just want to see them they're just all arms. Punches aren't specifically coming just from the arms, it's all from the hips. So back up here so you can see a little bit. When I throw the jab, I'm not just reaching with my arm like this, it's coming off the body, I'm rolling off the hip. Same thing when I'm coming through on the cross, and if you can look down at my feet here, when I throw that cross, my hip is turning over, and I'm pivoting on that foot, pushing off the ground. And what this is called kinetic linking. I'm drawing my energy from the ground as I throw the punch. Same thing on that hook. When I come back from the hook, my hips are going to turn back. So it's simple. Hip, hip, hip. Those are the basics of striking. Start out with those few punches. We'll be going on to more and more videos in the future. here we go into this video's workout. Alright, for this workout challenge, all you're going to need is a stopwatch or something that you can keep track of time on. It's going to consist of 6 rounds of 4 exercises. Those exercises are going to be a knuckle plank or a knuckle push-up, depending upon your level of strength and how comfortable you feel putting your weight on your knuckles. A squat to a knee up, straight leg raises for the abs, and jumping rope. Now, there's no striking combination of martial art or sport that's not going to have you jumping rope, so we'll be using that for this one. Now, for the knuckle plank and the knuckle push-ups, we're working on those punchy knuckles. So, we'll zoom in close here, getting down the ground, getting just those 2 knuckles in. And if you can see, I'm really just aligning my body nice and strong up those 2 knuckles. Now from here, if you don't feel comfortable doing push-ups, just start out with a plank. It will take a little adjusting, just getting used to having your knuckles digging into the ground like this. From here, you can either just hold your body nice and still like you do a push-up, or you can do those full range push-ups. For that advanced level, if you want to take it to the next level, you can start doing plyometrics and you're going to be hitting the ground. Always making sure that you're landing on those 2 knuckles. From here, you're going to be going into a squat to knee. You're going to squat all the way down, keeping your elbows in front like a guarded position. As you come up, your knee is going to touch the outside of your shoulder, squatting all the way down, coming all the way up. Full range of motion on those, really opening the hips. Straight leg raises, most of you have done these before. Laying back, hands behind your glutes, laying your elbows, keeping your body nice and straight, toes away, lifting your legs straight up and down. Now last but not least, everyone's favorite, jumping rope. Getting a rope. Now for the rope, you want to be about up to your armpits on each side, lengthwise. From there, you can jump however you prefer. You can start out both feet, you can skip, whatever you're more comfortable with your jumping rope. You're going to do each exercise for 50 seconds. 50 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest for 6 rounds. Look forward to seeing your results.
Hey guys, just a couple of quick things to go over with you here. First off, our next technique workshop is going to be on October 18th, and that is going over Turkish get-ups, windmills, and back bridges. Now, I could go on and on about each one of these exercises and how important they are, how great they are for your health, but I'm going to stop and let Kurt do that at the workshop, so make sure you're there to hear and learn all about them. Now also, with fall coming around, the season's changing, kids going back to school, people are kind of falling back into their normal routine, which means more scheduled workouts, which is what we want to see. Now, right behind me here, you see our PR board. This is where we put all the personal records that people have set. So if you have something that you're striving for and something that you'd like to test for in front of Kurt, make sure to get a time with him so you can prove your strength and get your name up on the board too. Now, of course, as always, if you have any questions about anything, you want to schedule some one-on-one time with Kurt, make sure to let him know right away.